So we will start with a brief presentations. I will show you a few slides, and then we will do a live demo using Danish test Puhuri Portal. I will share my screen. Hope you see it. So together with me today is here Sergey and Ilya, who are the main guys behind the Puhuri development. Today we will cover how to create organization in Puhuri Portal, how to create project, how to add resources to a project, then how to approve it and invite additional users like co-PIs or project members. And then we will end with the questions from you if you have any. So which roles and entities are available in Puhuri Portal? We have a resource allocation organization, which is responsible for national allocations of LumiShare. It is represented by a person who can manage additional organizations and who can approve allocations which are requested by, for example, PIs. Then we have organizations. This could be just institutions, working groups, research groups, whatever. Let's say combinations of people. And these organizations are represented by PI, who can manage different projects under these organizations, who can invite members and request allocations. Of course, resource allocation organization representative can also request allocations. Then we have projects which can have allocations and co-PI and members as well. Co-PI can manage projects within its limits. So basically request some changes and manage members. Here is, let's say, very general diagram where we have this resource allocation organization, and we have additional organizations which can request allocations. In every organization there can be several projects, not just one, but here is just showed one. Okay, so basically that's it for now, and let's go to demo. I will log out. So we are using Dykes demo or test portal, just not to ruin the real data and real live production portals. The first step would be signing in with MyAccessID, choosing a home organization and authenticating. Then now I'm a resource allocation organization representative role. This means that I can create additional organizations. I can set PIs for those organizations, and I can approve requested allocations. So now I'm creating new organizations. Maybe let's call it Puhuri webinar demo organization. Let's use my email as contact. It would be good to fill additional fields, but they are not mandatory. So now this organization is created. Next step would be assigning a PI for that organization. Basically, this can be done in there are two options for that. One option is to choose a PI from an already authenticated users list. We have a few users in this demo portal. Or another way is if the user is not authenticated yet, we can invite the users here. We need his or her email, and we can set the proper role for the user. Currently, I'm assigning Sergey to be a PI of this newly created organization. I can set the role expire date, but currently I will leave that empty. It's not mandatory. So now Sergey got hopefully enough notification about the new role, and now when he logs into this demo portal, he will see this newly created organization and can start creating project and adding allocations to it. So Sergey, if you're ready, I will stop my screen share and you can show further process.
Yes, I'm ready. All right. Ahti, could you please enable screen sharing? Yeah.
Now we can do that.
Okay, thank you. So can you see the screen? Yes, with the portal. Okay. Now, as a project investigator, I can create a separate project in this organization. So we simply can click on the button Add Project and input project name. It could be a demo project or webinar. Also, we can input a project description and date for project, but these fields are not mandatory, so we can proceed as is. So after adding a project, I can request for resources. In order to perform this, I need to go to service catalog and see available services. Let's use development access for Lumi. And after this, we can name this allocation and add some limits for this. So let's call it sample. Okay, let's call this demo allocation. As a plan, this is only one common plan. And as a CPU limit, we will input probably like 100, 200 for GPU. This is like just limits, and for storage we will use 300. After this, it's mandatory to choose science domain, and let's use biological sciences. After this, we can add this to the cart and request for additional approval. Meanwhile, on this resource allocator side, it's required to approve this. So Ahti, could you please do it? You can find this in organization.
Maybe you can stop your screen share and
yes,
I will show.
Yes, of course.
Thanks. So now, Sergey, could you mute this?
Yes. You need to go to my services.
Yeah. Could you mute yourself just?
Sorry.
Thanks. Now on the left side, I will see public orders, and we have some previous one, but today Sergey created one demo allocation. We see the offering name, we will see the organization, and we have two options: approve it or reject it. Now, as a resource allocator representative, when I approve it, this allocation and project data is synchronized with Puhuri Core, and from Puhuri Core, service provider like Lumi will pull it, checks if everything is okay, approves it, and then this state changes from executing to done. If there is something wrong with that, it will be error state. So now I approved it. This project information is synchronized with Puhuri Core, and when in Puhuri Core, if the project is approved by the service provider, this state changes to done. Sergey can meanwhile do this click on behalf of service provider.
All right, I'm clicking approve.
It may take a few moments due to this synchronization time. Meanwhile, maybe Sergey, you can show how to invite members as a PI.
Yes, let me show my screen again. So as you can see, my order is currently executing, but in core this is already done. So we need to wait a bit, some time until it's fully synchronized. But as a project instigator, I can also add members. I can use a drop-down list for this. Like if there are some available users, I can simply invite them if they are authenticated. But if they are not, I can go back to organization and send an invitation simply to this project. So I need to input some email. Let's input Ilya's email. So I can invite him as co-PI, member, or guest. Let's invite him as co-PI. So after this, he will receive an invitation to this email and simply go through the sent link. So from the user invitation to the project, this is probably all. I can also resend and cancel my invitation.
Okay, thanks. I can see that this state is still executing, so this may take a bit more time. Oh, no, okay. So now you can see that this allocation state is done. This means that Lumi or service provider in general accepted the request, and now this project users are able to use provided resources. What else? I think that's all. I would say that for a there could be several PIs for a project. There could be several members. There could be several resource allocation representatives who can create organizations and accept requests. So I think if you have any questions regarding using your portal, or if something is not working right in your opinion, then please feel free to contact this support at hpc.ut.ee email, and we will try to help you as much as we can. So I think now we have a time for questions, if you have any.
Actually, we have several questions in chat.
Let me see them. So Sadaf is asking, what is a plan? I think she means under requesting allocations.
So the plan is simply matching between requested resources amount and the price. So this is like a price for requested amount of resources. Well, allocation can have different plans for probably for better flexibility, but currently we have only one plan available per each allocation. I mean, per each service.
Then Sadaf is asking about the team member permissions. No, a team member of a project cannot see other projects. Only the project data which relates to his or her project.
Okay, can I do a follow-up on this one? Because sure. It means that we have to be careful how we add team members, because you can add a team member at the organization level as well. Is that correct?
Yes, but you will, let's say, attach the team member or a member to a specific project.
Okay, so if they are a team member, but not attached to a project, what do they see?
Sergey, can you?
So each team member see only the projects where it's invited.
No, but if, for
Yeah.
instance, if I invite someone as a member of an organization,
Yes.
what do they see?
As a member of organization. So yes, it can see projects within this organization.
So I think this is a very important distinction for, at least for us, because in our current user management portal, there is this thing and it wasn't entirely clear, and we started making different plans and we didn't know there are two ways to add them and which way is the one we would like to use. So I think some documentation on adding a team member to an organization versus adding a team member to a project, what are those distinctions? So people like us, because in our case, your second logic is more applicable, meaning team member to a project. Thank you.
Okay, we will bring it out in documentation and user guide. Then we have a question about the Puhuri Portal basis. Is it based on a Valdur homeport? Maybe you could, Sergey, take that question.
Well, Puhuri Portal, yes, it's based on, well, it's based on the Valdur homeport as a front end. So we use Valdur Mastermind as a backend and homeport as a front end. If so, what does Puhuri Portal add in terms of development or deployment to the software? I can't get this question actually. Johan, what do you mean?
Hello, maybe I can.
Hello, yeah.
I can clarify. I'm just wondering if you use Valdur as the front end, you use also the marketplace. I assume you're using the database in Valdur also, right?
Yes, yes, of course.
In which part Puhuri Portal enters, you know, with their own, let's say, what does Puhuri Portal change on Valdur if there is something that it changed?
Well, Puhuri Portal is based on Valdur, so Valdur is simply a web application, and Puhuri Portal is like a software as a service. So, what do you mean by changing? If
change something on Valdur, just that, or you just use plain Valdur and Puhuri.
Okay, we use white labeling in order to change several parts on the front end and back end, like logos and several namings of sites and site description, outgoing email, and so on. So Valdur can be white labels from this perspective.
Okay, thank you.
And also the question regarding scientific fields, we use OECD format of scientific fields. So no, we don't use the same list as Praise does.
Okay, thank you. It was just because I saw in their peer review they have these more than 300 categories. So my impression was that Euro HPC were using the same.
Well, I would say add that this scientific field is a request from service provider currently from Loomis. So yeah.
Okay, it was just a curious question if there was an alignment there, because you just showed in your example the biological sciences. So I was just curious if it was an example from that list. Thank you.
Do we have Ilya here? Probably not yet. He can show the invitation email site. Do we have any other questions meanwhile? from someone. Seems that
I have one more, but this is mostly about, so you are recording this presentation. Are you good? What is going to be the distribution list for this recording? Because is it like Puhuri or Dumi specific or beyond?
We will upload it to YouTube and it will be publicly available. So basically, we don't set any target group for that. So you can share it within your organizations, and if you have any follow-up questions, you can always send them later as well. So I think that's it from our side. If you don't have any additional questions, maybe I would just add that do we have or do you want some specific topics to be discussed next time? Or because now in Puhuri we are implementing this accounting, because first demo pilot projects are in live, and soon we will start receiving accounting data. And so should we make a webinar about how to see and which kind of accounting data is available and how to interpret it? What do you think? Seems that Eske and Sadaf are agreeing. So, okay. Well, next webinar is about shared portals. So this won't be applied to Denmark and Switzerland, but some other countries. But we will inform you about this accounting webinar in the future. So you can again share the invitation within your organization.
He can show us an invitation that I sent. And also we have 2 raised hands. I see. Okay, Eske,
Yeah,
what do you want?
Sorry,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
Eske can go. No, Eske can go first.
It was just a question about showing the login from the user side as well as uploading SSH keys. Will you be doing that now or?
Okay. Actually, this is MyAccessID side. Okay, I will share my screen. So how to add a SSH key to your profile? The easiest way is to go to puhuri.nake.no documentation page, choose IDP integration on the left menu, and at the bottom there is a profile management at MyAccessID. Here you can log in with your home organization, and here is a possible to add SSH keys. Lumi requires at least 4 kilo RSA key. Currently, MyAccessID does not support key validation, so you should be very careful when you are copying your keys to this profile, not missing any characters or so. There have been several issues with that. And then Puhuri Core is pulling the data from MyAccessID, validating it, and if it's correct, then it will be synchronized with Lumi, and you are able to log in with SSH keys. If the key is faulty, there is some kind of, our validation script reveals that this some characters are missing, whatever. There is an error with that. Then this key is not synchronized with service provider. Did you ask that? Or was it answer to your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. No, yeah, Ilya is here. Maybe Ilya, you could show us this invitation email which you received.
Sure. But Stav has a hand up.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So other thing, and this may not be widely applicable, but when I was trying to learn the system and the flows, I made, as you could imagine, a lot of mistakes. And it would be good also to say that at what point you can delete something yourself or remove or update, and at what point it gets registered to the central instance, and then you need to then send an email. I think this is also very good. In addition to the process for doing things, the process for modifying, updating, and deleting things in the documentation will be equally important as we are, in the learning process. So.
It doesn't feel very correct. We have sort of described in documentation primarily happy flow. Although on the technical level, we have some additional flows. For example, if you modify as a PI description of your project, it's not trivial how the propagation of the information goes to the service provider. So imagine if you are changing the OECD code of your project, so which would affect the statistics. So at the moment we have something implemented which would require this service provider part of validation before the information, the resource allocator validation before it's propagated to the Puhuri core. But all these things are not super maybe trivial. There is complexity inside the processes, and it's takes a bit of time to get through that. But let me share maybe the screen first. So Sadaf, in that sense, your point is taken, and we will be at least documenting the user interface portion, but also the instructions. But coming back to the invitation that I have received, this is what it looks like. So I got it sometime before, and this is the default text, which basically shows the person who invited me to join something and in certain role. So if I click here, this might be not ideal because I just accepted it, but otherwise I would have to be logged in first. This one. Now it will probably tell me that the invitation is invalid because I have just accepted it beforehand, but otherwise it would be basically same text and the ability for me to accept it or not. And the thing is that this was an invitation for this project. And yeah, technically speaking, I'm now here. And I'm guessing that this has been also propagated. I mean, my MyAccessID reference, which we are not showing actually, will be propagated to Puhuri core. Just in case, for the dedicated portals, we can modify this text to include, for example, links to the support units or links to the documentation of the specific portal.
Yes. Thank you, Ilya. SK has a question, I think, or
SK has a thumb up.
Oh, yeah, thumb up. Sorry.
It's only at thumb up, yeah.
Is there any questions meanwhile, or no? If no, then thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Ilya. And thank you for joining, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.